Imam Dr. Tariq El-Amin. Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings to all of you. Thank you for joining us for another edition, or the second edition, of Conscious Connection Conversations. And this is a space that started with music. The Conscious Connection Muslim Soul Project and playlist, which I guess shameless plug, right? It makes sense that you know where it's at. It is on this channel. Just look up Conscious Connection Muslim Soul. The very first song that I did was called Bismillah. And I think appropriately so, it's about centering God first. The very first words are God comes first. Cash doesn't rule. Cash doesn't rule everything around me. And and for those of a certain age, and those who are really, if you're into hip hop, you remember uh, Cream, dollar dollar bill, right?
Yes,
Um,
sir.
so I couldn't think of a better way to anchor this conversation in that song with somebody, my brother Preacher Moss, who has been a foundational voice in Muslim comedy. And I wouldn't just say Muslim comedy, but comedy with conscience. Somebody who has been unwilling and unwavering in his commitment to his convictions. Um, a heck of a storyteller. And someone, when I checked in to see if we were still good for tonight, he responded with, "Oh man, that's tonight." You do not want to be, you don't want to be under the gun with a comedian because they stop. But Brother Preach, I appreciate you taking the time to get into this conversation to talk about what it means to be an artist of conviction, and
Yes, sir.
in an industry that often is demanding compromise from you. So I didn't do you justice on on your bio. It's going to be in the show notes.
We don't need a bio, man. If they
Yeah.
don't know me, they say if they don't know me, they just don't know me, bro.
Hey, and I would tell them this though. Check out. We had a great conversation on my other production, American Muslim Podcast,
Yes, sir.
in two sections. So we really got into it. I would encourage you to check that out. But first, you've heard the song. Um,
Yeah, I listened to it.
you know, yeah, you've heard the song. So
I
tell me
listened to it.
first. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you about to
No, I listened to it. I mean,
say?
I'm old. When I knew it was a song, I'm like, I'm gonna listen to it.
Yeah.
I listened to it twice. Because
That's good. At least you made it through it. Um, so the first thing is first. What has it meant for you, right? Being an artist and being somebody who's been a trailblazer. Because we got a show like Mo now. We got Rami, and we have all of these other spaces, and people can have whatever commentary they have. But what has it meant for you to be somebody who has been on the front lines and has maintained, like I said, that conviction?
man, I'm on a journey. I'll say that now.
Yeah.
I had a I had a crisis of conscience, which was, what are we doing? From the pandemic on up to now, you start reminiscing about conversations that I had. I started reminiscing about conversations I had with uh, Mr. Dick Gregory, and these are comedians with a whole lot of conscience. I know people want to put, oh, he's so and so, he spoke out. I'm like, it ain't about that. Anybody can speak out, but can you be strategically about how you change the culture?
Mm.
And I came to the assumptions like, you mentioned some other comedians, and you know, alhamdulillah. But I'm like, are you really changing the culture? When we did All It Made Me Funny, we changed the culture. We took this dynamic of African American Islam and we put it into the fold. We put it to work where
Mm.
it wasn't working. Our immigrant brothers and sisters were under attack. We moved ourselves to the middle to say, listen, we're part of this mosaic of this conversation. You go after them, you're going after us. And we moved effectively from a safe space to a service space. And so the thing right now is, we're losing the war on culture.
Right.
And once you lose the war on culture, and the man, what the D Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with him, said this, that once you lose the war on culture, you have lost the war. Not the battle, you've lost the war.
Mm.
Because when people can frame your culture, Franz Fanon said this, Nkrumah said this, Malcolm said this, Kenneth Appiah said this. Once you lose the culture, man, you can't go back.
Yeah.
It's like it's subtle things. Like when you watch TV now, a car commercial or a healthcare commercial, you can't find a family that's all black anymore.
Mm.
It's a black man and a white woman with a mixed child, or that. And I'm like, I've seen that from beginning of time. That's history. That's the revealing of history. Now it's being, politicized. Now it's commercialized. But you
Mm.
got people who are dead set against black expression, dead set against mixed relations, the dead set against the poor. All of a sudden, you see these visions on TV that says, in TV from Hollywood, it's okay, but in the streets, it's not okay.
Mm.
And then what happens now is, I am firmly 2 feet into this digital economy in terms of entertainment. And man, you got to keep your head on the swivel, because
Yeah.
it's not the non-Muslims that can take you out in the culture. It's Muslim people, entertainers that can take you. They can frame the culture for you if you're not careful. Man, I have to be so strategic now because I work with a lot of artists, and those artists have gone to this marketplace. That marketplace was here, but they've gone other places. And that marketplace, it doesn't have a space for people that look like you and I.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't have a space for people who think like you and I or believe like you and I.
Mm.
And so I've said it before. I mean, listen, man, if you don't have a voice, people will misrepresent you. And if you don't have a platform, they'll erase you. And
Yeah.
that's what's happening now. And I'm like, I was doing a show last night, Austin, Texas, and I saw all these kids, I don't know, they had a clown on before me, whatever. We had all these kids and the parents there, and I really needed to tell the parents, you need to send your kids somewhere because I need to talk to you.
Mm.
Like I really need to talk to you. I envision a place now, and not a place, but a situation scenario whereby we've got to close ranks.
Yeah.
And I've got to tell people what these jokes really mean, what you really been laughing at the last 20 years, what that language is from our community, you
You
know,
know,
and
Preach,
I and
when
I
you
feel that.
when you mention that, Preach, what that does, that makes me think about a conversation I was having with a friend, about around our favorite comedians, and
Yeah,
how for some people they want to listen to somebody that's going to explain everything to them in the joke, right?
yeah,
And for me, it's always been I want to listen to somebody that respects my intellect, and
yes.
somebody that is going to um, that shows me, right, that shows me that not just that they can tell a story, they can share an observation, but that they have a point that they're actually trying to lead people to, not just reinforce what is already acceptable and popular. And that's one of the things that made folks like Dick Gregory, Richard Pryor,
Yes.
Carlin.
I Man, I got my head cut off so many times with Mr. Gregory. It's not funny.
Yeah. But my question for you is this. What does it mean when, do you feel as an artist, as a comedian, right, as somebody who is not just telling jokes, but also trying to influence culture, do you feel like you're having to explain, you haven't explained yourself more than you should? Like the audience is
I think
not
it
engaging on that same level?
I think it's worse than that. I
Mm.
think it's worse than that. It's toxic. You don't have to explain to them. You have to remind them.
Mm.
This is what our culture was. You got to remind people that this is what we use stand up for. You
Right.
know, this is what we use protest for. It's nothing worse than we're gonna protest and all it is, you got 10,000 people that just showed up and they march and they play hack and sack and whatever and they went home. I'm like, that was a social outing.
Right.
You got there, you had no program, you had no agenda, you had no call to action, you had no situation of how you're gonna back things up. You couldn't challenge people. I mean, listen, people go to protest, 10,000 people, and then they just go home. I was a part of protesting in college, man. It was 10 of us. We got run out of the square
Mm.
trying to protest apartheid. I just think that, you know, the sense of urgency is gone, and it's just juxtapositioned against the fact that many of us are having a really hard time trying to frame for a lot of people that, you know, a conversation needs to be had in America that America is not only not what it pretends to be, or it promotes itself to be. It's never been that. It's never going to be that. It doesn't
Right.
have the willpower to do that. And the
Mm.
only people that promote this vision are the people that it suppresses. So it's always been African Americans trying to push America to its better self,
Right.
and everyone else jumps on the bandwagon. But we have to push America for jobs and housing. You got to push America for voting. You got to push America for religious freedom. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You know, it wasn't an argument, but it was a point of contention. I'm like, we sit here and we will stand on the highest mountains and yell Islamophobia, Islamophobia, Islamophobia. And I'm like, you're blind to history. The first and most brutal case of American Islamophobia is when slaves came off the slave ships
Right.
and
Yep.
they had their religion taken from them
Mm.
brutally. That's Islamophobia. If you can't talk about that, then this means nothing. You know what
Mm.
I mean?
Yeah.
If you can't make the case for that, that this dismantling of Islamic practice going back to the 1600s is not a valid reason to really sit down and examine what Islam in America is today and what it's going to be. You don't, you're not going to have a seat at the table.
Here's
You
the
know,
question. Here's the
yeah,
question. Music, much like comedy, and that's been my approach and the way I've been using the construction of it.
yeah.
It's an entryway into conversations that people normally would be averse to having. When
Mm-hmm.
you think about Islamophobia from that perspective, right? We hear that scholars say that, up to, 30%. And I think that number actually may be lower than what it actually was, right? But we'll say 30% of those who were enslaved and brought here were Muslims.
Yes.
And of the over 250 rebellions of enslaved Africans in the Americas that took place, they were either led by or supported by Muslims, right? So to be Muslim under oppression and bondage was a direct threat, to the power system, to the power structure. So realizing that kind of thing, is there a voice? Is there an entry point as a comedian to bring those types of to bring that type of history to the fore in a way where people can grapple with it and say, I'm hearing a joke, but I'm also hearing something that is very serious that needs to be taken into consideration.
Well, I think the thing is, uh, they have this situation. I was just out in Hollywood, and I had a really bad experience at this showcase.
Mhm.
I won't go into it because it would seriously damage credibility of some people I really, really care about. But when I got out there, I was like, it was clear it was not meant for me to be on the showcase. That's number one.
Mhm.
Number two, the audience had been cold to be able to support what was going to be on stage. You know,
Yeah.
you find your audience. Like a lot of comedians, you know, they'll go on the internet and they'll find their audience through social media.
Mhm.
You know, Tariq, I'm a road comic, man. I know every inch of Illinois. I performed over every inch of Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, Iowa. I was a road comic, a 90s road comic. We drive 450 miles for $200. That's what we did back in the day. You
Yeah.
couldn't fly to all these places. And so that type of hunger is gone, but it was that type of hunger that kept the integrity in what you were doing.
Yeah.
So what you see now is I find comedians that kind of rubber stamp. You know, you can go on TV and you could talk about Palestine, but it goes through censors. You're only going to be able to go but so far, right?
Mhm.
Um, you know, we so and so was on, and he told him, he gave him, yo, it ain't about that. That conversation, if it's real, it's in the streets. I'm not looking for clicks. I'm not looking for likes. That conversation, is sanctioned because we come from a place where black folk couldn't even talk when they were picking cotton.
Right.
The masses were so scared. Now we're just so liberated. And, these conversations, I hate to say it, they sell tickets. They don't change culture.
And that's where I want to make a connection between the power of art, right? I don't know how many khutbahs I've given over the past 25 years, or more, right? And most people who've heard them don't remember them either, right? They may remember a particular line. they, they may remember a
Did
line.
one of these. It's
Hey, there's nothing more deflating, and you have to get over yourself.
You
Than
do.
looking out and seeing somebody's eyes closing on you, and you feel like, look, I'm modulating my tone. I'm trying to inject a little bit of personality. I'm trying to be up to date and contemporary with what's going on, and I'm still losing a brother in the front. But
Hey,
the
but I'd say, hey man, if you're gonna fall asleep, this is the safest place to do
right.
it. I said that to brother. Don't
Right.
apologize.
Mhm.
I was like, it's not like you haven't worked Monday through Friday, brother. You've been grinding.
That's
The
true.
minute you sit here, you're gonna dip.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I wasn't, I've had to do coupons in the last couple of years,
Uh-huh.
and believe me, the first one I had to do, I was like, oh, this ain't gonna go well.
Yeah.
It's the imam caught me slipping. I couldn't come up with a lie fast enough to get out of it.
Hmm.
But then an old folks say, hey man, well, he said, God forbid if you were the last Muslim and you had to give a khutbah, he said, we'd be stuck with you. I was like, dang, I ain't thinking about it like that. But he was saying you have to be ready. More
Absolutely.
so, you have to be ready to serve. And like you said, you got to get out of your own way, get out of your own head. It's
Hmm.
important. You're putting out music. Let me
Hmm.
throw this out. You're putting out music.
Yeah.
You're writing music. People in the community are like, oh, we love this. We haven't had it. Can you imagine when you and I wrote a song against Islamophobia, put it to a good beat?
Hmm.
Will we be crucified? Will people listen to our music? Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I see it when I do comedy. When I did my comedy special, there was a section of the comedy section of the special called Donald Trump and E flat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're never going to see that again because it's rare. I stop the show, I announce it, I call it Donald Trump and E flat. We do it, stop, break, and go back to the show. We
Hmm.
created our own, almost like a commercial break in the middle of the comedy special. We had material and we took content and we framed the content within the content.
Right.
My whole thing is like we don't have that. We don't have it enough where it makes a difference. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And the tilt and the balance is, like you said, you giving how many Mikuppas over 25 years?
Yeah.
It's hard not to go over the same theme. Not saying that you're saying the same thing, but it's hard to go over the same themes. People come in, they want to hear different things. We don't know where they are in their lives or what kind of week they had or what kind of day they had.
Right.
We're shooting into the dark. We're trying to find a happy middle ground, something that everybody can relate to. I'm like, it's impossible, but we do it. We try it.
Yeah.
My thing is, I think we at the point we have to be a lot more. If it's not right, we have to be a lot more didactic about why it's not right. Just say why it's not right.
Hmm.
You know, I had a conversation with brothers like, I'm gonna talk. I'm not looking for quotes from the Quran or Hadith. Negro, I'm talking to you.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you know what I said? I said, and you can go look up the Hadith that's applicable to this conversation. Because I'm not
Right.
gonna do all the work. I was like, I'm not going to do all the work, brother.
Right.
And I think the thing is also, given what I said at the beginning, I heard a great podcast. It was a diary of a CEO, and they had some lady on, And she talked
Mhm.
about democracy, that America is this dying democracy. But she
Mm.
says when they framed the Constitution, it was framed as an experiment, not as a lasting foundation.
Right.
Ironically, they say democracies last how many years normally? 250 years.
Mm. Well, we shouldn't have any worry about that because it's not a democracy.
Yeah, but we're being told, and everything around is, these are autocracies and autocrats, and then, Venezuela and Iran, and we want to say Iran and Soviet Union and all these places. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, but we're being fed. No, it's almost, you know, if somebody's telling you, hey, the food's good, but you're poisoning yourself. Eat more. This doesn't taste right. Eat more, it'll feel better. No, I want
Mm.
it. It'll kill me.
Yeah.
And I think we, in that situation, we've grown so comfortable. I mean, I wrote an article. I'll send it to you about discernment in regards to the shootings that happened down in San Diego. And I'm
Mm.
like, how long are we going to continue to turn the other cheek?
Mm.
How long are we going to continue to turn the other cheek? And I said it with a certain amount of veracity. Like, look, all immigrant Muslim brothers and sisters, we love you, but you are living in a black reality right now.
Mm.
Not even a black Muslim reality. This is a black reality. And I'm like, people are going to feel like they can do these things to you. They're emboldened. They're less educated. They're more entitled. And they feel like they have, the protection of the law. And the worst protection of the law is what? When there's no law.
Yeah. I want to bring in just a comment, just kind of uh, comment is they remember music more than what we preach. Music does preach better. Comedy can do the same. And
Yeah.
that's what I want to just to lift that point back up because I think it's also important to be mindful of this kind of a hopelessness that's sinking in
Yes. Speak on that.
amongst many people because we see the same thing happening over and over and over again, and we began to think that the hatred, the dysfunction, the Islamophobia, the racism, the whites, all of these things that they are inevitable. And what I have seen is that when you have artists, that's why that's always one of the first things that autocrats and dictators uh, go to. They want to make sure that those people who are seeing society through a lens and allows it to see itself, right? We got to get rid of these people. So
Well,
the jokes and the songs become that much more important because I'll tell you this statement. This guy said, he says, I don't care who writes the laws as long as I can write the songs because they know the power of that repetition and how it begins to animate people.
mhm.
You know.
I mean, it's no secret, man. I mean, I was out in Hollywood a couple of weeks ago. There's no work in Hollywood. There's no work in Hollywood.
Technology has changed everything.
No, it's no work. The tenor about what you've been able to say, the late night with Colbert went off the air, right?
Yeah.
They took that off the air. So there's a fear about what you're talking about on late night television. That used to be sacred ground. You used to turn into late night TV to see what are they going to say with this. I grew up in the Carson era, and we
Yeah.
would watch Johnny Carson take shots at Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, Nixon. And they had free reign. You
Hmm.
don't have that now. And, it's framed around an economic narrative that if you say certain things, you may not get funded. If you write certain things, you may not get distributed, right?
Right. Right.
Um, and it's, of course, there's the corporatization of Hollywood in and of itself was like, who's running these studios? More and
Mm.
more increasingly, you're getting Amazon studios. So Amazon is streaming a Netflix studio. When I was in LA, they were doing Netflix is a joke, which is the second year big comedy festival. Over 400 comedians are coming there. What did I
Mm.
say? 400 comedians are coming there, but you got to follow the rules, right?
Right.
You got to follow the rules. So I mean, that's it. And I think the thing with the music, even more so than comedy,
Hmm.
is that there's a universality in music that has to do with tone, the complexity of a beat.
Mhm.
It reflects emotions. You
Yeah.
know, when I was a young comic, I used to write like vocalese music, like Eddie Jefferson and King Pleasure, Moody's Move for Love.
Mhm.
You had the solos and you would put the words to ride over the solos and they had to be tonally correct. There are, like da 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 da. Eddie
Yeah.
Jefferson, there I go, there I go, there I go.
Yeah.
So I would write like that for like 5, 6 years
Mhm.
because I grew up around jazz musicians and it meant more because I felt like there was more emotion to it because it does have a flow and it's a story within the song, there's a story within the narrative, and you're giving them a lot of different flavors. And it just doesn't happen anymore. I think going back to Napster, man,
Mm.
I think going back to Napster, um, people being able to select just the music that they wanted,
Mhm.
it shrinks the world in a lot of ways because you're not listening to other stuff. So it becomes a microcosm. Now I was shrinking the music. Now I can shrink a political party. Now I can shrink a religious affiliation.
Mhm.
Now I could shrink a race orientation or a sexual orientation. I can do all of these things because now I've figured out how to, I pull the threads on how you diversify.
Right. You
And
know
that
what?
was
What you just mentioned about the way that you wrote and your experience, um, your sensitivity towards music as a musician. There's an ayat. I guess there's an ayat. There's a verse for everything, right? And
Alhamdulillah.
yeah. And what that made me think about was um, when advising the children of Israel, it says to enter the gate with humility in words and deeds. And the humility in this regard, it is represented in your consideration of the score, of the music, and how you choose to honor that by, like you said, respecting the tonality, writing over it, right? So you're in alignment with it, and not forcing yourself on it. Uh, that I think is a cultural. That's a measure of cultural competency illustrated in art.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
where people are used to even when you hear things like learn the language, right? Or you hear, I don't want you speaking anything other than English, or why aren't you catering to my needs when you enter into a new place? Because Americans travel differently, right? They have to learn often that the world is not, it's not your
Well, we
oyster.
have we have American exceptionalism, which is
Yeah,
exceptional lies.
yeah,
I was saying this, and I wasn't being mean. I'm like, and I'm talking to my mom is 81,
yeah.
and we were talking about white people back when she was growing up, white society now,
Mhm.
and she was like, well, she said the big fear with white society back then was they knew they weren't good enough.
Mm,
They
mm,
knew they weren't good enough.
okay.
Business, arts, entertainment, sports. But you have to frame the preservation of that lie. And so you create laws and you create, I do my Friday reminder. I have a Friday reminder called Moses Fleetwood Walker.
Mm,
And it goes back to when I was elementary school. I'm old, people. It wasn't Black History Month back then, it was Black History Week. So, but a kid did a whole thing on Jackie Robinson being the first black da da da, and he wasn't. They said questions. I raised my hand. I thought I was adding to the conversation. I said he wasn't the first black person to play Major League Baseball. It was Moses Fleetwood Walker. The second one was his brother. I get into an argument with a teacher. We're arguing. You got to remember, I'm little.
yeah.
I'm arguing with an adult. An adult's telling me You're wrong. I can't make this up. My grandfather told me this.
Hmm.
He witnessed it. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's part of his culture. He told me this, and
Hmm.
I'm arguing the point. And it was not that I had something to offer, but you're threatening the status quo of limited knowledge, limited intellect, right?
Hmm.
And all of a sudden you find yourself in the principal's office and they're talking about putting you in special ed. I got behavior problems.
Yeah.
I didn't have behavior problems. I had a difference of opinion based on fact.
Yeah.
Am I downplaying Jackie Robinson? No. I'm
Hmm.
adding to the fact that our culture even goes way back. You have people that are just as courageous as Jackie Robinson didn't have a shot.
Right.
And you begin to feel that way. But I always felt like, if you got to redistrict or gerrymander a district, it matters to hold on. That means you're losing.
Right.
It means you can't win. You are not enough for you. And then start looking at case studies of people who are rising up despite all of the challenges and obstacles that you're putting their way.
Mm.
That's a problem. I have rationed out the fact that the biggest problem with the Muslim community here in America
Hmm.
is that it's a discipline it's a very tight discipline that can't be shaken. There's certain things you're not going to shake us off of. You're not going to make us pray less. You're not going to make us give less. You're not going to make us have less children. You're not going to take our joy. You're not going to disconnect us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And you can't legislate to do so. They try.
Hmm.
All they do is try and take your joy away. These things, they're not real. You
Yeah.
know, they told slaves, you're a slave. You can't be free. You think about this. Two slaves getting ready to run away. Let's go, Joe. Let's go. No, master said we ain't free.
Mm.
They ain't
Mm. Mm. Mm.
happy. Joe gone, brother.
Yeah. You know,
and they
to
had to
that
come
point,
up. They had to come up with laws.
yeah.
They now have to come up with laws. And like, listen, my friends say, hey man, Allah never wastes the work of a righteous worker or righteous believer. He
Hmm.
doesn't. And
To that point, let me throw this at you. To that
yeah,
point, what you're mentioning, um, it brings me back to like the whole impetus behind this, and even behind using this technology to take what's in my head and turn these into songs. And most of these are really just khutbahs, right? Put to music.
right.
Uh, but the idea that Imam Wafiddin Muhammad, um, I believe he was really trying to push us to accept a responsibility based on a culture of resilience, a
Yeah.
sensitivity to suffering, um, that we could demonstrate the type of leadership that's necessary to take people out of what they believe to be unbreakable structures, right? These structures of hierarchy where you believe what I tell you to believe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you misinformation, and that misinformation is going to give you a perception of the world that says that you can only go so far, that you can't see the humanity in another individual because they look different than you, they speak a different language, and that's directly related to that hopelessness I was talking about. We have this gun violence that keeps taking place, and all of these things that happen. And I believe that because music is a universal language and comedy, right, for people, it's contextual, right? But it has a reach that's able to really, really drill down into the society that it comes out of, right? Every society's comedians are the ones that hold the mirror up. And for music, like we don't all have to speak the same language to sing the same songs.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I agree.
but there's something that is powerful, that's redemptive. Like you're reclaiming something, and what we're reclaiming, it's a responsibility, right? So aside from like the commentary that I have about everything that is going wrong, right? And all of the injustices. One of the main thrusts that I wanted to try to do in whatever limited way, like you, I said, I'm not really concerned about. I want the views, sure, would love to have them, right? But I know that we're in a voyeuristic society where the content that you put out, you don't necessarily get to see who it's impacting.
Well,
But
Imam, I would say like this.
yeah,
Um, my orientation of being a teacher
yeah,
really, it really, it really alienates me to this point from social media
mm,
because the real work is not done in front of the camera.
no,
The real work is not done on these algorithms. Tangible work is going to happen when nobody's looking. And
mm,
that used to be the strength. We counted on people not looking. So we counted on people being distracted, and now we're the ones being distracted. So it's flipped.
yeah,
We that cover that we had, I joke about I don't know why the government sends spies to the Muslim community. I'm like, everybody knows Muslims can't keep secrets
mm.
because because we want attention. Oh, I want me.
Right.
You want attention. I'm like, you you're getting attention, but you're not getting acceptance. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's like a halal episode of Law and Order. The cops are not there to take your statement because they like you. They want
Right.
something. And in that space, we're trading off, and I might get in trouble, but we're trading off of historical successes.
Hmm.
You know, I remember I went to a meeting for when I was thinking about joining the nation back in the day, and they were talking about spaceships.
Hmm.
And I was down with everything, and I was like, wait, spaceships? I'm like, look at my face, like the Jetsons. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
and what's happening now? Trump releases all these files about what? UFOs,
Right.
right? Elijah Muhammad talking about the big wheel in the sky. That Negro crazy.
Right.
They're making movies that are mega. These are $1 billion movies about what aliens
Hmm.
connecting with human beings, or human beings connecting with aliens.
Hmm.
Roswell and all this type of stuff. They're just putting it out there now. It's like here we are talking about it. We're crazy, but you put it out, and it's unclassified, declassified information. I'm like, because we know.
Yeah.
It's like we know. I always felt like in crisis and oppression for a lot of people came just divine clarity. You
Hmm.
know, there's a reason why we're still here, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason why we're still here. There's a reason why Native Americans are still here.
Hmm.
There's a reason why the poor never go away. I'm not saying that they elevate, but even the poor at a particular level, they learn how to survive. They create ecosystems that allow them to survive.
Yeah.
And it's like we push that to the side because it's this weird balance of a norm that we want to tie ourselves into. I'm like, no, this is the work. I telling jokes or doing shows at the prisons. I don't try and take TV cameras into the prisons. I
Yeah.
don't. People don't know. I'm like, but this is the work. You're an imam. Nobody sees you do the work. They see you on Friday.
Mm.
They don't necessarily see you do the work the whole week or the whole month. And it's
I
like,
would,
okay,
I would argue that a lot of I'll say humility, or a lot of what we tried to
mm,
do just for the pleasure of Allah, just between us and God,
agree.
we are no longer able to do as much of that because because evil is so rampant and has such a unlimited PR budget that we have to have something public facing that is showing that it's not moving unopposed. So
Hmm.
so a lot of so like when I started doing this, years and years ago, which is when we're doing our food distribution. I'll take pictures of the team that's passing out the food, right? Doesn't matter how many of us is, we'll take a picture. But we don't take pictures of the people that we're serving, right? The
No.
idea is we want to preserve their dignity. But what we do want to do is to provide some type of inspiration. We're doing this every week, right? What is it that Allah loves the small deed that's done with consistency. So you do what's within your capacity. That's also one of the things that I want to lift up, which is to remind people that you don't have to take on all the problems of the world, but we'll be willing to take on the problems in your neighborhood or take on the problems in your house
Yeah.
and do it with some regularity. And if you do that, what you will do is that you will find a community of like-minded people because all you have to do is be regular with something and you will find the people who are doing that same thing. But that visibility, I think, is different, right? It's a double-edged sword. So I mean, I can understand what you're saying is that a lot of the work you're doing, you ain't doing it for the views, but I think there's also some value in the inspiration that somebody of your stature provides by giving somewhat of a glimpse into, say, look, because it's more work than you can handle by yourself.
This is true. I think, and I'm just out of that space. We just talk less, do more.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we talk less, do more. And the consistency that you're talking about, that's kind of what it is. You work into a groove, you're working into a groove, it becomes natural. This is what we're doing. You may have a food drive once a month.
Yeah.
The community knows about it, you know about it. It's just it has a degree of normalcy. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? So people don't feel funny. If everybody knows about the food drive, you know, everybody feels good. But it's just the poor, the hungry. They may feel, you know, isolated.
Hmm.
But in the way you're talking, if everybody knows about the food drive, the people who don't need the food, they're the ones that you're advertising to, and maybe they can come out and help with the food drive.
Yeah, or do the food drive wherever they're at.
Yeah, have your own, or at least come and volunteer.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. I mean, but the humility is a big deal. You know what it is, man. There's a great episode of Sanford and Son. You probably saw it.
Hmm.
Uh, they had the lawyer. They had a lawyer. Lamont got a ticket, and
Yeah.
the lawyer, they were like, he would say all these things. Well, on one hand, this or that, but you know what? I don't know. When am I going to get the rest of the money? Fred Sanford. I don't know. Um, my point is, man, it was genius in being able to say, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
There was genius in being
Yeah.
able to say, I don't know, because our problem is we can't keep giving all this information to people. At some point in time, you got to meet. It's like teaching. They call it scaffolding. When a
Yes.
kid can't read, you do scaffolding. So if the sentence is 10 words or 15 words, I'm going to I'm going to hold your hand for 10 of them, but you're going to read the other five. And then we're going to get to seven. Then we're going to get to eight. And then we're going to get to 12. And eventually, I'm not going to hold your hand anymore.
Right.
I'm done with the scaffolding. It's like, I think we've kind of lost that. And it does have to do a lot with social media and where people are getting information from.
Oh yeah.
I want to say the death of modern journalism in a lot of regards. So where do you get your information from?
Right.
We talk about pure text, spiritual text, sacred text. You don't hear about that as much anymore.
Hmm.
I peeped a lecture online where they were talking about the Torah,
Hmm.
and if you ever read the Torah or engaged in the Torah, it's like this has nothing to do with modern day politics.
Mm.
It has nothing to do with the state of Israel. If you read this, it's not even supposed to happen.
Right.
Um, but it's like there's a denial of that. There's this, I guess I want to say in a nice way, there's a space or a syndrome of plausible deniability around stupidity.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry.
Like you can be stupid now.
Well, we've seen that for quite some time, right? Well, one of the most repeated sayings. What is I don't need to know that, or I don't want to know that.
Yeah.
Like
I don't
really,
want to know that, but it's not
yeah.
like I don't know. I don't know.
Like I
I don't
don't
know. It's
want to know.
humble. I don't know means I'm gonna go find out.
Right.
You know, it's I was saying this to my friend JT. I said, man, they had a term used to call fake it till you make it, right?
Right.
But the idea of fake it till you make it was you were gonna get into space and you were gonna dedicate yourself to upgrading your skills and education to be competitive in that space, right?
Hmm.
You fake it till you make it. Now I've got a level of efficiency, efficacy, so I can be meaningful and special and be valuable. But I'm like, dude, it's not even fake it till you make it. It's like fake it till everybody realizes you're not gonna make it.
Mm.
It's like fake it till everybody realizes you're an imposter. So we have the term what imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So you have people who are in these spaces, they know they can't do this work.
Mm.
Day one, they know they can't do this work. It's so far away from their abilities, but they just stand in the position. We have a whole uh, federal government that's been replaced with a bunch of imposters. Even when you put them in, they cannot do the work. You can't tell me I'm gonna take somebody with no qualifications and
Yeah.
let somebody go with 30 years of and you're not gonna miss a beat.
Mm.
You're gonna miss all the beats.
Mm.
Case
Yeah.
in point, DMV.
Yeah. Yeah.
You talk about hopelessness, go to DMV. Get in the line of somebody who just started. Oh my God.
Yeah. There goes your afternoon.
Yeah, there you go. I just started working. Oh Lord, help me. Look, stop it alone.
Yeah.
Um, but that becomes the status quo because you can control that. You
Mm.
can control when people don't know what they're doing. And I'm not talking about training them to get them efficient,
Mm.
but you can keep them in a space whereby even if you're trying to upgrade, I can threaten that position. It's like you know what I mean? It's like a double-edged sword. If you're trying to get better in this position against what I'm telling people, that's a no-no. And if I don't like you, I just say you weren't cut out to do the job. Your performance is not satisfactory. You're out the window too.
Yeah. Well, that's a different level of dependence. And we showed how many people are depending on the state for their livelihood. Um, and there's a fallout that happens when, as government goes through, well, employment is politicized.
Yes.
And the function of government, it's not to serve the people. And, it becomes more about serving an individual. So I think what this also does is there's always going to be a natural response. Human dignity, our aspiration to be able to be responsible for ourselves. Like one of the things I remember, the Imam saying is that the mature person wants to be responsible for themselves. And
100%.
so what that means is, you shut one door, another door opens. So and I'm saying this is anecdotal, right? But I'm saying that I believe there have been more uh, small businesses that have been established since this trimming, of the government, since they've hacked off and
Mm-hmm.
they've sent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of us to the unemployment line. And folks have said, well, I'm going to respond to this one of two ways. Either I'm going to be, kicking and moaning, or I'm going to do something about this because I still have agency. So there's always going to be, and I'm not out of that camp because I think what I'm about to say, the people who want to take this in the wrong way would be like, oh, that sounds like a slavery is good statement. No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, even in hardship, and even when those people want to take away our dignity and our ability to advocate for ourselves, even when they do that, we come back even harder, right?
Yeah,
So, hey, it's not happening. But I want to ask you another question, if you could speak to this.
sure.
Um, we've talked about, mentioned with regard to Islamophobia. Right. I'll just let that be kind of the straw man, representing all of the issues, the isms, and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
As it relates to faith communities, understanding the importance of education and sensitizing our people, regardless of what our faith traditions are, what responsibility do we have to support those voices, whether they have big budgets or not, that are trying to shift the culture, that are trying to educate, that are trying to say, people, this ain't it. Let me, come on over here. This is where the clean water is at. Um,
Mm-hmm.
are they, do you feel like they're recognizing a responsibility collectively? Um, and if not, like, what's the first step? Or how do you respond to that?
I'm gonna borrow from Malcolm X and Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Mhm.
We can't take on other people's brands. I
Mm.
talk about Islamophobia with Africans come off the slave ships.
Yeah.
That's 400 years, but you never heard them use the term Islamophobia. We said racism thing, but we never talked about Islamophobia. We never really talk or have a deep dive about what happened to black spirituality and religiosity from the 1600s. We don't talk about it,
Right.
or we could talk about it, but it's been erased.
Mm.
History. I think the thing is, first, we have to stop carrying other people's brand. So one of the things I said, and I still, if you really want to trim Islamophobia, you know, take the word back and don't use it. Don't loan it out. Don't lease it.
Mm.
Don't say Islamophobia because you empower other people who don't even have an idea what Islam is about. They just know that Islamophobia, even if you looked at it in just the Islam phobia, fear of Islam. So if you fear Islam, why do you keep messing with Muslims?
Mm.
Well, maybe that is the fact. I fear Islam, but I don't fear the Muslims.
Right.
So maybe that's the deal. But I'm like, if you stop using the word doesn't have power. It's just like the N word.
Yeah.
You talking about a hopeless feeling, feeling deflated. I see some young guy doesn't know anything about America. Da da da. He using the N word. Everyone he has no idea about the history of the word, what the brutality associated with the word, the disconnection with the word, the disillusionment, the crime dealing with the word. But it's to a good beat. I'm like, give me a break. I'm a child of the '60s. You're the problem. We grew up not using the word because we were in integrated spaces. Of course,
Mm.
some of my family members used it and da da da, but we knew it stayed in the house. We weren't around white people talking about, da da da. We didn't have Latinos using the N word, talking about, hey, I'm from the black tree too. Here's the deal: the word has blood on it, it has poison on it. It's a toxic word. Listen, stop talking, people. Stop using the word Islamophobia.
Mm.
It's a rally cry for fundraising. It's a rally cry for everything that happens, and it's a rally cry for passivity. You ain't gonna do nothing when people yell the word Islamophobia.
Mm.
And the same thing that we're running up the flagpole is the same thing that been running up the flagpole. We're gonna have a protest. We're gonna have a press release. We're gonna do this. You ain't gonna do nothing.
Mm.
You're not built like that. That's not your DNA. Stop using the word. You know what? If you stop using the word, guess what? The people who are quote unquote Islamophobic, they'll lose value in using the word. Make them say Islam. Make them say Muslim out loudly. I thought one of the most all praise to the law. I thought one of the funniest things in the world when I came up with the tour, Allah made me funny. You know
Yeah.
what I said? I wrote it on a piece of paper. I said, even if they hate this tour and
Hmm.
hate Muslims, they
Yeah.
gotta say Allah's name.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it in your mouth. Allah made me. I got one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I because we look. the way we think is two totally different things. I mean, my partner, he was like, maybe we should change the name to God Made Me Funny. I'm like, well, that ain't, I might as well stay Christian if we just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not saying I'm talking about a lot because I want to recognize my journey, and I want to recognize the journey of a lot of people who
Right.
came to Islam, who stayed in Islam. I'm like, this is the language. So what's the thing? But I'm like, that is the deal. And it was interesting. Uh, Imam, we didn't have a whole lot of people that came after us about Allah Made Me Funny because one, it was a funny title. Two, you don't want to mess with comedians. I know more about the subject than you know.
Right.
I know more about you than you know about this. This is a new tour. What do you really know? You historically don't have your playbook is limited.
Yeah.
But if we're talking strategically, Muslims stop using the word Islamophobia.
Okay. So, all right. So that is a branding issue, right? That's one of many branding issues.
Mm-hmm.
Taking on a particular vantage point that's been used to minimize you. Um, but that also has an economic relevance as well, right? And a
Sure.
corporate. So we have the capitalist structure where resistance is often framed or articulated through nonprofit organizations. Um,
Is this true? I mean,
right?
I know
Not
a
not
lot
all the
of,
time, but sometime, right? So they're particular, especially if you're talking about religiously based organizations that have to comply with government, standards and so on. And if you step out of line, you may run the risk of the IRS snatching your 501(c)(3).
speak on it.
But but this is what I'm really hopeful about doing. Uh, inshallah, with God's permission, what I hope is that
Inshallah.
we can inspire offline conversations where people will look at this is the way things are, but is this the way things have to be? And my answer is going to be no. Always going to be no, because I'm thinking about what we've seen historically, but also just going back to the leadership and to the advice that we were given from the man. You
Well,
know,
I think the thing is,
remake the world.
like I said at the top of it, it was like we need to have an honest conversation about what America isn't.
But see, I think at this point though, I think it's about a whole lot more than just about what America isn't, because America is just an idea.
Well, I mean, when I talk
And
about
no, no,
when I
I
say
understand
what
what
America when I
no,
say what America isn't,
yeah,
it's like a SWOT analysis because what America isn't is exactly what we are in many regards, what
mm,
we've been, and it's like let's not put that energy over there. So it's almost the analogy of if you go in a room with 100 smokers, you're the one that don't smoke. When you come out of the room, you're gonna smell like smoke.
yeah, for sure,
If you don't want to smell like smoke, just don't go in the room.
yeah,
Find a room where you can bring a bunch of people who don't smoke, share
mhm.
your core values, and guess the one thing you don't have to talk about? Smoking. It's the thing you don't have to worry about it. It's
Yeah,
clean air, it's clean thoughts. And I think that is something that's really important. And I've said this before, and America's morally and spiritually ill, has been so for a long time, but it's just elevated over the last 10 years. It's got ridiculous. There's no moral Robitussin you can give them for that cough, right?
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
bad.
Yeah,
So my thing is like, and where do we get the gumption? Because it's in the Quran about self-preservation. You can't save everybody.
no,
We're tied up in America, like we, it's like small business people. When the big businesses mess up, small businesses are the ones that have to dig them out.
yeah,
We're the foundation for. They don't pay their tax, we pay our tax. We're employing people. Folks have been getting insurance. They couldn't get insurance over here.
mhm.
You have all these things going on. It's like, all right, cool. What happens if we just say that's not even a part of our conversation right now? They'll tell you, hey, we're this. I don't want to hear it. if it's real, I'll see it. Allah will bring it to me. But until that time, the information has to be here.
Mhm.
And it's like if we can get to that point, I think that's a particular type of narrative that is meaningful. It's
Yeah.
meaningful and it's strategic. I'm like, if we're getting to that, then people getting to change. We got a generation of kids, they're in their 20s, man. They grew up post 9/11.
Yeah.
There's certain things they see that are normal.
Well, and one of the things is even the self as a commodity, right? People who have turned themselves, and I'm not attacking, women, but there's a whole new marketplace out there where street corners don't matter anymore. You don't need a street corner anymore, right?
Oh no.
Yeah. So you have a whole OnlyFans and whatever other marketplaces. Um, but that's really a product of, and I would say the corollary, what goes right alongside that is brothers who are willing to sell whatever to their communities, right? And we've been dealing with that for whatever, all types of
Forever.
substances,
Forever.
right? But what it comes down to is what they say, get the bag, right? It's about the bag,
Well,
dollar bill.
but it's about the bag.
Well,
But I
hold on,
think
hold on. So there's more. So it's not just about the bag. The fact that that is what's promoted, and because that simple line, because it's repeated and it becomes a part of the formation of thinking and character. So the words and deeds, they line up. Everything is around get the bag, get the money. So a line like um, God comes first, cash doesn't rule everything around me. If we think about Paulo Freire, right,
yeah,
says,
pedagogy of the oppressed.
yeah, and he says education is a political act.
Yeah.
Right. So that one line, as a third grader, you memorize this. You write this down 100 times every week. Every week, cash doesn't rule. God comes first. Cash doesn't rule everything around me. What is I know what it is. I'm imagining the impact of just those words right there and what that begins to look like in society. Because now you have a society of people that are not, you can't just dangle a check in front of them.
I think you're touching on a really, really valid point, which is there has to be a reassessment of the value of do for self,
Yeah,
which is not business do for self, but education do for self,
right,
which is discernment as a part of do for self. That we're not a part of the wisdom of the herd anymore. Uh, Crowd speak, if you will, now requires a different type of investigation, a different type of filtering. There's a process.
right,
I was laughing with a brother last week. I was like, MAGA has a really difficult time with understanding the idea of chain of command, chain of transmission when it comes to Muslims.
right.
So who said that? Him.
Hmm,
You know?
hmm.
Who said that? Oh, these four guys. They're not that. It's a one and a done. Listen, I said it. That's all that matters. Well, you can't run that on the average Muslim mind or really the spiritually guided and connected mind. You can't do that.
Yeah,
You can't make your voice the number one voice. They'll try, but you can't make your voice the number one voice. And my thing is, increase the magnitude of that voice that you're listening to.
right,
Put it in your speech, put it in your business, put it in your relationships. We have a powerful intellectual magnet called Islam.
hmm,
And everybody goes through this pathway to be better versions of themselves in this religion, right?
yeah,
The whole idea that you can have a horrible day, you could fall off, you get locked up for 5 years, but when you get out of jail, you know that there's this pathway that's waiting for you. You
right,
might have been following on your darkest day. When not understanding that pathway is continual, it's straight, it's illuminated, You don't have to pay anything for it. You ain't got a tithe for it. You ain't give zakat for it. You know, it's even to the point where if you don't have it, the will of the people with the zakat and things like the will of the people, it's there for you.
Mhm.
And being able to talk that up when you're experiencing it. You know, I think, you know, when I was teaching, the best days that I had with my students was talking about something and then stepping back and letting them implement it. Go home, go to the communities. We had a course about how to make your mother's day better. This is elementary kids. Let's talk about how we can make mommy's day better.
Mm.
And a writing exercise. This is a writing prompt.
Okay.
This is kids like, I want to be able to read it and write it. I'm like, you know, and in the end, it's like, you're going to put together a letter, a proposal to mommy about things you could do to help her. But the whole class transformed. Like, we're going to be young men, we're going to be young women, and the whole idea of caring for our parents. You know, we had kids that are writing letters to their fathers who are incarcerated.
Right.
Daddy, while you're locked up, this is what I'm gonna do for mommy. That's the organic nature of who we are, and that's happening in the elementary classroom. A classroom I'm teaching severely emotionally disturbed kids. They're thinking at that level. These are the throwaway kids, and they're thinking on this intellectual level. I'm like, because I know the capacity is there.
Yeah.
And the best day is when you can step out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, you don't have to talk to me. Talk to your peers. Talk to your peers. Who's the best writer? See now, oh, so and so's the best writer. They're not mad. Oh, so the best writer. He's the best writer, and he's like, I write it. Now you got a team. You know, who's gonna be the timekeeper? I do the time. You know, the guy to keep the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you assign all these things, but what you're giving is what I've always loved about Islam is that when you're doing it, I'm not even saying doing it right
Mm-hmm.
at its highest level. When you're engaging at even the most basic level,
Mm-hmm.
Allah gives you these permissions.
Right.
He gives you these permissions. So you have Islam, you're going to figure it out when you're praying. You have Islam, you're going to figure it out when you go to the masjid. First time you go to the masjid, everybody's praying, you don't know what they're doing. You just fall in, but you're getting credit for taking the test, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Getting credit for showing up. It's participation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you learn. And then there's these permissions. And the permissions are, it's okay to fail. It's okay not to get it right. It's okay not to be okay in Islam, because that purpose is that, you know, you're going to a place where you want to be better. You're going to seek out the things that make you better.
Yeah.
And like I was talking about these kids, you know what the greatest part was?
What?
Forgiveness. Forgiveness. These kids are writing on stuff about how to help their mothers make things easy on their mothers. It's forgiveness. And I said, what was the first one? Apologize.
Mm.
Apologize.
Mm.
Look, I got all of your files. Y'all young criminals. I got your files. I know you're in third grade, but you're on parole.
Yeah.
Hey, look, and you got to give a urine sample. And but I'm telling them, hey, being a part of an adult, a young man and young woman, for people that out you in the world, sometimes you got to apologize.
Yeah.
It's okay. And therein is that's Islam in the classroom.
Yeah.
That's not me giving a kuppah.
That's right.
That's a reinvention of your mother, your mother, your mother.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's jazz. We found a different tone to put it into, a different flow. We start with one kid, now we got three. That's our band. Solo act, now we got a quartet, now we got a quintet.
Speaking of performance, what do you have? You got something new that's coming out, or something that
yes, I did a mini tour. So I'm gonna be it's coming out this fall, early fall. So I have a tour called Joy is Still Allowed Comedy Tour.
Mm-hmm.
And Joy is Still Allowed is these type of conversations that we need to be having around the laughter. It's a return to the 1990s, 2000 Preacher Moss. Um, this is me taking off the parachute and try to guide. Allah made me funny. That was
Mm-hmm.
that time. Now it's time to get back to the groundwork. Now it's time to get back to being that. This tour feels like it makes me feel like a 1990s road comic.
Back to being on the road.
Hey man, coming down from Milwaukee through Mason, through Racine, through Kenosha,
Yeah.
uh, through past Gurney till I
Mm-hmm.
get to Chicago,
Yeah.
and all everything in Chicago is like it's almost like Malcolm, man. You gotta open up new temples, brother,
Mm.
and we need to open up new ways of thinking. And I am gonna specifically I have a specific targeting of African American masjids, particularly WD Muhammad masjids and NOI masjids,
Okay. All right.
because we are, in many regards, the holder of original culture as it pertains to Islam in America.
Well, I'm gonna ask that when you got that, uh, hit me with it so I can drop that in the show notes.
I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm doing a couple things with some sponsors,
Yeah.
but here's the killer. It's so important, man. I can't wait on sponsors.
It's got to get up and go.
Dude, I got to get in the car and gas up. If I can't fly, I'm gonna gas up. I'm gonna drive. I mean, this is the point of emphasis. We're at a crisis moment.
I did not mention. So you got the shout out show. Um,
Yes.
and here's the thing: technology has democratized uh, access. It does not guarantee you an audience, right? You got to build that yourself or pay for it. And I tell people all the time, we don't have a marketing budget, so I'm depending on folks to share, right? And if there's some value in it, and I hope there is, that's what people have been doing. Um,
Hey man, I'll be happy to interview you for the Muslim Journal, bro.
hey, you say when, say less. Matter of
Hey
fact.
man, hey, I wrote an article for Islamic magazine is coming back,
Okay, good stuff.
and we have to be conscious about it. And I'll say this: I know we got to get off, but
Yeah,
our community is an amazing community. Not putting down anybody else's community,
right.
but we're in the industrial age. We're in the industrial age. We were from the industrial. Our parents worked with their hands, and they blood, sweat, and tears made sure that if we had to work with hands, we got more money to work with our hands and maybe get a degree and get skilled. But our creativity came from the industrial age. Now you jump to the digital age, the digital economy. We have to make the transition. So there needs to be more shows like your show,
Hmm.
more shows like
Like yours.
Shout Out Show,
Yeah.
but better shows than the Shout Out Show. More
Hmm.
diverse, more creativity, creating our own marketplace. The three P's. This guy Daniel, oh, he's a startup. He's a startup guy. He said the three. He said there's five P's in the digital economy:
Hmm.
pitch, publish, productize, profile, partnerships.
Yeah.
Pitch. We got to be able to take ideas and pitch to different people. Just
Hmm.
can't keep them to ourselves. Don't worry, people. Don't worry about folks. I'm a comedian. You know what? 85% of my job is rejection.
Yeah.
90% is rejection.
Hmm.
But we got to be able to pitch our ideas. Think of how Islam spread in the Black community.
Hmm.
That's pitching. Publish. You got to start writing more.
Yeah.
How did Islam spread back in the 20s and 30s and 40s? We were writing stuff.
Hmm.
Pamphlets. I do a joke about Islam being a religion of pamphlets back in the day.
Hmm.
The pamphlets.
Right.
Product size. What are we selling? Profile. If you do the first three things, your profile is not going to raise. And the fifth thing, it makes you look qualified and valuable as a partner.
That's right.
So all of you guys that are watching, I'm on Imam's show because I view him as not a peer, but a partner.
Precisely.
So that's it. You know you're gonna publish it as soon as you edit. I know it's gonna take a little bit on edit, but
Hey,
but I'm like
we get it.
that's it. And it's like that discipline, pitch, publish, productize, profile, partnerships. You know,
Mhm.
this is what it is. This is how we win. And
Yeah.
nobody does it better
Yeah.
because it's been denied to us.
Hmm.
Hey man, you know, that's why I'm like, hey, bro. I told one brother, I was like, do you realize the music you're doing now, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, was regarded as race music?
That's right.
It became R&B when white people could make money off of it.
Mm.
It wasn't R&B. It was like it was really breaking and entering on our black culture. It was B&E.
Mm. Mm.
Oh, you got to put it on our radio station now. You're giving away the culture
Yeah.
till they figure out how to do it without you. And it's not everybody. You know, greed, avarice, power. All these things tie into it.
Oh yeah.
But I'll say this in the end. Hey, all we have right now to win with is our culture. The politics don't bode for us. The economics don't bode for us unless we're creating our own economic platforms and markets. It's not for us.
Culture
So
will influence, it will determine and direct education, economics. Um, it's the linchpin. So that
it's not going to get any better,
yeah.
bro. I mean
And
that's for sure.
I'm not negating any of these other areas. I know we got people who are extremely qualified that are working in those areas, but the area that I feel deserves the most attention is culture because you can bring together education. Education is embedded in it if it's done properly. But I
And
want to
yeah,
thank you.
and history is
Yeah,
embedded.
absolutely. But I want to thank you, bro, for coming
I
on.
love it.
And
Thank you for having me back.
it's
Peace and
always a
love,
pleasure.
everybody. I'm gonna
And
be out on the road. Y'all better come
hey,
get some of this water.
let us know. You know, we'll join the PR team. Um,
Hey, especially when I come to Chicago.
that's right. That's right. You got to.
I'm doing multiple shows in Chicago,
I hope so.
and it ain't gonna be like it's none. No, it's gonna be us none, us and them, us none.
Yeah, not isn't it?
Yeah, there you go. We gonna
So
do it like the uh, old Richard Pryor days. We can put 80 people in a room and just go.
yeah.
Bring the
So
next 80 people.
I want to remind everybody who is with us now to say thank you for joining us to be a part of the live conversation for your comments, and for those who will check this out later on. You can also hear the first conversation that my brother Preacher Moss and I had maybe 6, 7 months ago. Might have been more than that, but on my other production,
But man
American
was on point.
podcast. So you can check that out as well. You can check the playlist that has produced all of this, the Conscious Connection Muslim Soul playlist, wherever you get your music, or just look me up, Tariq El-Amin. And we will be here every night, God willing, inshallah, at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, with a new conversation partner. I'm going to lift up that same language that my brother Preach just mentioned. This is partnership. This is not adversarial conversation. This is not clickbait conversation. This is hopefully conversation that's going to inspire some thought and reflection and will lead you to build conversations in your own life and so hopefully some action, right? This is
Inshallah.
action oriented, inshallah. So thank you again. We're signing off.
All right, thank you, beloved. Salaam
Conversation.
alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I'm signing off to all of you.